ladies and gentlemen, I would like to notify you all that it's time to answer the first question for the AfriQuest Trivial Trial Contest. You simply have to scan the QR code on the screen to answer. Please remember that you have to answer both questions to be entered to the win. So please stay prepared for the announcement of the second question during the day. Okay. So I think you had enough time to scan the code, answer the question. I'm wishing you best of luck. Okay. So my name is Badran. I'm the Regulatory Director for Egypt, Saudi, Africa from Abbott Laboratories. I have over 18 years of experience in the pharma industry. Most of it is in the regulatory field. And I'm pleased to be part of this session in the 5th AfriSummit edition, moderating this session that is appealing for every one of us because it talks about the maturity level 3 and the reliance, which all of you have noticed that it's a very important aspect in the regulatory field lately. Okay, so in this session, we will have 3 presenters. Okay, so bear with me, but the sessions are very diversified. I mean, the presentations are not continuation to each one of another, so they are diversified. You will have a glance of each aspect. So the topic is about Africa journey to WHO maturity level, milestones, and pathway forward. With that, I would like to introduce Dr. Diana Diaz-Guzman. She is the Senior Regulatory Intelligence Manager at the United States Pharmacopoeia, USP, and the Regulatory System Strengthening, RSS, consultant for the WHO Health Organization. Dr. Diana has over 15 years of experience in the regulatory affairs and over 10 years of leadership in the RSS initiatives. Her expertise in RSS include designing and implementing institutional development plans and leverage WHO global benchmarking tool to build capacity and align regulatory efforts with public health needs across regions, including Africa, Asia, America, and the Caribbean. Please welcome with me Dr. Diana on stage.
Well, good afternoon, everybody. I'm so pleased to be here today. Very honored to be here with you all. Many thanks for the organizers of this event for having me here. Thank you for the very also nice presentation, May. As May said, I am a regulatory system strengthening for the World Health Organization, and I'm also the Senior International Regulatory Intelligence Manager at the U.S. Pharmacopoeia. So today I'm going to speak about how is that journey to reach maturity level 3 and the Africa's journey for the countries that had already reached this recognition. What's the point? So on the agenda today, we are going to have these global and regional status of national regulatory systems, the Africa journey toward regulatory excellence, key milestones for the African continent, drivers to success and some challenges that still persist, regional collaboration strategies, why maturity level 3 really matters, what is this important, and practical recommendations for those countries who are still in this journey. So here is a little bit of data that I wanted to present on what is the global and regional status of national regulatory systems. So as you can see, currently we have around 68% of the countries that are still at maturity level 1 and 2. And only 32% of the countries from the total number of member states that are currently at maturity level 3 or 4. But great news for the African continent is that 15% of this grand total of 32% of regulatory authorities that are at maturity level 3 or 4 are African countries. So congratulations to you all, because this is a huge achievement. And I'm saying this because if you go and see the list of countries that have reached maturity level 3 or 4 status, you're going to see that half of the list of regulatory authorities that have been benchmarked since 2016 are now African countries. So really, a really big milestone for the continent. And you guys are ahead of many other continents like Latin America or other countries that unfortunately are not here yet, but are seeing you all right now as an example to follow. So this is a really good achievement for the continent. Sorry, I just wanted to mention that apart from the 9 countries that are currently maturity level 3 now, there are several other countries that are working right now on this journey as well. Okay, so here are some key milestones that I just wanted to show. Probably you know them better than me. But key milestones for the continent are the institution of the African Medicines Regulatory Harmonization Initiative, as Dr. Nancy presented earlier today, back in 2009. Then a little bit of history of this global benchmarking tool journey. Everything started back in 2014, when in a World Health Assembly, countries recognize the necessity of improved regulatory systems. So that's where the global benchmarking tool was initially identified as a need. And then in 2018, it was officially deployed by the World Health Organization. One of the first African countries and countries in the world that achieved the maturity level 3 recognition was Tanzania. So congratulations for our country, Tanzania. I don't know if anybody from there here, but we all are African, so congratulations to them. Then in 2020, another big achievement from WHO is that we deployed the CIP framework, which is the Coalition of Interested Parties, which main intention of objective is that the regulatory system strengthening activities are all organized and are organized by the WHO. So the countries that are part of the CIP network receive this type of support in the way that is not like repetitive of its waste of resources, but everybody is synchronized to support the country in the best way, according with the institutional development plan after an evaluation with the GBT. Also, as you all know, the AMA, that has the treaty entered into force in 2021. And the WHO listed authority WLA framework was also kind of the second step after the global benchmarking tool process that was launched in 2022. And here I'm presenting also which of those regulatory authorities have reached the recognition of maturity level 3, with Ghana in 2020, with, I don't want to miss anybody, Nigeria in 2022, Egypt 2022 and 2024, South Africa 2022, Zimbabwe, Rwanda, and Senegal 2024. Senegal as the first Francophone African country, and the most recent country that has reached the maturity level 3 recognition was Ethiopia in 2025, October. So what are those drivers of success? What is helping these countries to actually advance in this maturity level 3 journey? So one of the main things is the recognition of the need for a stronger regulation. So as we said at the beginning, at the World Health Assembly in 2014, that was a recognition of a need, right? Another important thing is that national regulatory authorities are leading the regulatory system strengthening activities. This is really important because it doesn't matter how many stakeholders you have to support your country. If the regulatory authority is not the champion of this process, they are not going to move forward. So it's really important for the regulators that actually own the process and lead these RSS activities. The political commitment and financial resources, as you all know, is really key as well, and we are going to talk a little bit more in other slides. Also following the WHO 5-step capacity building model, which includes the global benchmarking tool evaluation and also receiving the technical support under the CIP network, which, as I mentioned before, is the coalition of interested parties. Sustained investment and partnerships is very important also for regulators. As we all know, we don't have probably the capacity and we don't have all of the resources in all of the sense that resources means to cover all of the aspects. So have stakeholders, partnerships to support us and to allow us to reach to that maturity level 3 or 4 or WLA recognition is really important and is key. And of course, as we all have talked today, regional collaboration, reliance and recognition mechanisms is really important. It's not now an option, it's a necessity, and it's something that all of the regulators need to work together to reach. Sorry, I keep forgetting. The challenges, there are some challenges that have been also mentioned from previous speakers, but some of the challenges that are still remain in the continent is the limited legal frameworks that, as you all know, may take several years to be changed, and some regulators are hold up in the process of achieving maturity level 3 or 4, just because of the legal framework changes, which is not easy for the countries. The prevalence of substandards and falsified medicines is also a big problem still in the continent that many authorities are fighting against too, and I know that we're gonna improve that, but still a lot of work needs to be done in that field. Lack of access of medical products and vaccines, unfortunately, because of the dependence of importations. So that's another challenge. And limited resources in some of those countries. So I don't want to spend much time here, but I just wanted to show some of the regional collaboration strategies where reliance and harmonizations stories have been applied, and they are success stories. So SAFRA is a big example, the regulatory authority of South Africa, implementing reliance, recognition, harmonization mechanisms. So big applause for SAFRA, because honestly, they are working really hard in implementing reliance. Nowadays, everybody speaks about reliance, but implementing reliance is another level, and SAFRA is a big example of that. As mentioned also for other speakers this morning, several regulatory authorities that have reached maturity level 3 had also signed up memorandums of understandings and other agreements that allow them to work together and to share information. So that's important. Of course, I wanted to highlight some regional integration and harmonization bodies that allow all of these reliance and recognitions and harmonization mechanisms to be a reality in the continent. Okay, so as I mentioned before, everybody talks about maturity level 3, right? And many of you are probably still wondering why this is important. I don't understand why everybody's talking about that, such a thing. So this is really important. Maturity level 3 is the recognition of a regulatory authority to be established, well established, and organized regulatory authority. So having a stable and effective regulatory environment is really important for any country, right? Why? Because you are guaranteeing that the products that are put in the market are safe, meet the safety, efficacy, and quality that they are supposed to. These regulatory authorities are better prepared for public health emergencies like pandemics, and also increase and guarantee the access to quality assured medicines to all of your populations. There are also so many benefits, economical benefits for the country. For example, the boosts of local manufacturing. So a country that reaches a maturity level 3 or 4 or is recognized as a WLA is usually a country that really advance and progress in the local manufacturing, improve market access as well as the maturity level 3 countries can export locally made medicines to regions that recognize the regulatory authority, and there is economical growth and job creation. Maturity level 3 for and WLA authorities also is now preferred for procurement decisions. So all of those should be motivations for countries to continue going through this pathway. So this is a couple of recommendations. I don't know if I'm already past my time. A couple of recommendations for those countries who are still in this journey. So listen up, because this is important if you are still in the journey. So political commitment and financial resources, as I said, this is not just a journey for the regulator, for the regulatory authority. This is a journey for the whole country. So from the highest status of the government to the lowest status of the government, they all need to be committed to bring the country to reach maturity level 3 or 4. The National Regulatory Authority needs to lead this journey, right? They can be not just observers. They need to be the champions of the process, but they need the support from the government and have the resources necessary. Adoption and implementation of reliance and recognition mechanisms, as we all have talked this morning, is key, is imperative now, right? Hiring and retaining skilled staff is also really important. You all regulators that are here, you're super valuable for these regulatory authorities to gain this journey. So that they can guarantee that you stay and that you preserve in the regulatory authority is really important. Implementation of quality management systems and regulatory information management systems is also really important. And also promotion of inter-country and stakeholder collaboration, as I mentioned before. Hopefully the one led by WHO under the coalition of interested parties, that's really key. And investment in technological infrastructure. So remember that achieving maturity level 3 is more than meeting some GVT indicators, but that actually reflects a deep commitment to health, equity, and socioeconomic progress. So here are some success stories, 2 from the region and 1 outside of the region. So Rwanda and Senegal are my success stories here. And why? Because they meet this journey, this maturity level 3 recognition in a very, very limited time frame, which we haven't from WHO seen in any other countries. So Rwanda in 2 years and Senegal in a year and a half. But why? Because they were commitment to this. There was commitment from the government. The regulatory authority was really committed to get to that point. So I don't know if we have representatives from Rwanda and Senegal here, but a big applause to them because they demonstrated that this is possible. And also another success story, we have brought a country that is not very far away from here, but it's Saudi Arabia. When they were evaluated, they passed the maturity level 3 recognition to maturity level 4 recognition, which is a regulatory authority in advanced level of performance and continuous improvement. So with that is the end of my presentation. Just congratulate you all once again. Thank you so much. And I just want to motivate the region to continue working through this journey, because you are actually inspiring other regions in the world. Thank you so much.
Okay, so we come now to the second presentation. We will have Dr. Madeleine Terblanche and Ms. Kani Nukuku. Dr. Madeleine is the Senior Operation Consultant, Vector Life Sciences. She's a seasoned regulatory affairs and a digital information expert specializing in the ECTD and the e-submission implementation. She has played a pivotal role in supporting agencies like SAPRA and ANMPS in adopting streamlined electronic submission processes. With Ms. Kani as well from South Africa, she is the Medical Device and IVD Registration Officer in SAPRA. She's experienced and pharmacist with successful background in medical device and IVD regulations, regulatory system strengthening, global harmonization initiatives, medical device clinical trials regulations, law enforcement, post-marketing surveillance, and good reliance plus regulatory practice. Please welcome with me on the stage, please.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I already greeted you. I'm Madeleine Terblanche.
And good morning, everyone, or afternoon. I am Kani Nukuku from South Africa.
So our session is going to be Strength in Every Bite, Data Integrity as Africa's Path to Maturity Level 3. Dr. Diana actually touched on at that part, RIMS, right? And that's what we're going to focus on. So ladies and gentlemen, I need your collaboration in this moment. It's a bit dry in Egypt, so we're going to make it a right bit. So I would like everybody to start just rubbing your hands together. Everybody, can you all hear the slight drizzle of rain starting to fall?
And start clapping your fingers. Just snap, snap.
Oh, there's some more drops falling. Right, and I want you to clap your hands. It's a storm starting to brew.
And we need some thunder, so just clap your knees.
And there's a storm coming. Right. So we just made it rain in this room. So can you kindly play the video?
Perfect picture of data integrity. Each of us made a small sound, a single droplet. Alone, one drop barely matters. But when they all fall in rhythm, they create a storm powerful enough to change the land. Each raindrop is like a bite of data, small but vital. One drop of dirty water can cloud an entire stream, just as one inaccurate record can weaken a whole system. Strength doesn't come from having more rain. It comes from every drop being pure. When rainwater is channeled through rivers and systems, it nourishes growth. But when it's scattered, it floods and destroys. Data works the same way. When our information flows through aligned, secured, and harmonized systems, it builds power. The power of insight, the power of trust. And thunder, that's nature's declaration that everything that is connected. In our world, thunder is traceability and transparency. The sound of integrity echoing through every process, every bite, every decision. And when the rain clears, we see the rainbow, a symbol of balance and renewal. That's what WHO Maturity Level 3 represents for Africa, a landscape where data is trusted, systems are connected, and integrity shines after the storm. So as we explore digitalization and maturity today, remember this. Africa's path to strength isn't found in the storm itself. It's in the purity of every drop, the connection of every stream, and the integrity in every bite. Together, we are the rain, bringing growth, renewal, and strength to our regulatory landscape.
Good, so, and it rained again. Great, thank you everyone. So this maturity level 3 is actually our pot of gold. This is what we strive towards, right? And what does it mean? It means I can do it I don't just do it, I do it consistently over and over again. It also represents a stable, well-functioning, and integrated regulatory system.
And this also looks at all the core regulatory functions. So focusing on vigilance, on marketing authorization, and ensuring that all these processes are performed consistently, ensuring that there's transparency and accountability. The processes have to be well documented. They have to also be transparent and standardized. It is very much important that in terms of reaching and sustaining MO3, the processes are well standardized and transparent.
So what is our rainbow to the spot of gold, this maturity level 3? And I do believe that digital transformation is that rainbow, right? And why do I say that? Digitalization is not just about scanning and emailing documents, right? We're coming from paper to electronic, and we need to moving towards that because we can get that standardization, that transparency that comes along with it. It's also about embedding technology in every regulatory process, from automation, workflows, from coming from paper to ECDD. Where are we? How are we getting to this maturity level 3? These include like the information management system, ECDD automation, dashboards. Dashboard is a fantastic reporting tool. How are you utilizing this in your authority to have dashboards reporting on what you are busy with? If you can day by day just count how many marketing authorization was done in the last month, week, or that. You can even go as far as KPI tracking when you have proper active working dashboards. And also the security of data, right? How secure is our data? Is it compliant with GAM5, which is a very US FDA terminology? Is your data secure enough for that?
Now, looking at South Africa. So South Africa transitioned from CTD in 2013. And between the period of 2013 to 2019, submissions were to a CD that have to be submitted to the physical office. But as we all know, a disruption came through in 2020 due to the pandemic. And South Africa had to act swiftly in terms of transitioning from having applicants submit the CD physically to a digital process. And that's when we moved to FTP, which is the file transfer protocol.
So in 2024, there was a huge update that happened. They moved towards a specification 3.2, which is much harmonized. We'll get to another slide, which shows you that. And of implementation in 2025, they did a full implementation, phase 1 of their RIM solution, the final part of it. We've got the evaluation system, that's where we were involved, and then the portal came, the application portal, which is this metadata where we gather data to get together, to have reporting dashboards and all of that for SARS.
Now, when we look at how digitalization supports attaining MO3, it's quite important to draw into the different WHO GBT functions. We have, firstly, post-marketing surveillance, there's QMS, there's MA. And Madeleine and I are just going to give a few examples of certain processes within these functions of how digitalization supports MO3.
I think a big success story from the backlog was actually being digital, right? Because obviously, part of COVID, there was this whole backlog that they wanted to attain, and how they moved towards it is like, you have to submit electronically, you have to be ECDD compliant, and there was a phase of e-submissions as well, and it led to this quicker marketing authorization because they were digitally ready for this step.
And I mean, if we look at PV, we know that a lot of authorities are moving towards strengthening their pharmacovigilance. Currently, we now have AI-assisted secure reporting portals to ensure that the safety data that is being submitted, you can be able to scan through it. There's, a lot of AI-assisted as well signal detection systems that are coming about to strengthen vigilance.
If we look at GMP and as well licensing permitting, how quicker renewals can be if it's online when you digitalize the process, GMP inspection, having a report online, readily available. You don't have to go to a paper, write it on a report, already digitally available. Even just organizing your schedule for the GMP inspection. Moving towards a digitalization for attaining this mature level 3.
And lastly, when we look at quality management system, we have what we call risk-based approach that has been also incorporated into quality management system. And this also ensures that within your systems, you have CAPA management. There's quite a lot of things that are happening for regulators to ensure that within quality management systems, they also systems are able, to have AI-assisted functions within the systems.
So I do feel the first step to get to this digital place and quicker marketing authorization is harmonization. And I would quickly like to show you how certain regions was harmonized by having similar specification. So we've got SAPRA, we've got ECOWAS, we've got ANMPS, and the AMA pilot project we had, which had the 17 listed registrations, was actually done with all the similar specifications. How grateful that industry is that for industry to have similar specifications to work with.
And now we come to reigning regulatory excellence. There's quite a few number of strategic priorities in order to ensure that regulators are reigning regulatory excellence. The first one will be we need to ensure that you can demonstrate traceability and accountability. These are actually key ML3 indicators.
So it will have faster decision making, it's quicker, reduces manual errors.
And we also have, systems that need to build resilience to ensure continuity during disruptions such as the pandemic.
And also a big key word that is happening, reliance and harmonization. Right, if we have digital solutions, how much easier is reliance? I think when the lady of Zazibona presented, I was like, imagine if everybody had the same digital tool to work from or same evaluation system, how quick will that be? She talked about 9 months. I'm like, let's go to 6 months, right? So what is this rainbow to this maturity level? So this is actually the bridge between this maturity level. Reaching that is actually this digital transformation.
That is correct. So, reaching MO3 is not only about having SOPs and having procedures. We need to ensure that our digital tools have SOPs that can be implemented, they can be, measured and continuously improved. And as a regulator, it's quite important to ensure that you have digitally mature as authority that delivers reliable, efficient, and transparent outcomes. This ensures that whatever decisions we make, they are data-driven and not drawn from just anywhere.
So Kanye, my question to you, as you've been doing an absolute beautiful master's study on this, how do we evaluate our digital solutions maturity?
So I'm going to ask a question to our esteemed attendees. Do any of you see anything wrong on the screen? I have a lady sitting here.
Yes. Yeah?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yes, look at that. Thank you.
Second one?
Second one? Yes. Yes. Perfect. I'm glad that was picked up. So, Madeleine, how do you think this picture was actually drawn up?
So, my friend AI, ChatGPT, did this picture, actually.
Yeah, and what does that say? It's an outcome, and this outcome is incorrect, which says that the data that is supposed to be transparent, supposed to be clean, was not necessarily clean. And as regulators, we need to ensure that whatever data we have, we can be able, to have correct outcomes. The data should be able to be correct. So a question is to all the regulators. As much as most regulators are going towards WHO ML3, WHO ML4, but are your systems mature? How do you determine that? Now, there are some critical gaps when we look at implementation of regulatory information management systems. We know that there's inconsistent data. We know that there's a lot of redundancy that is happening within regulators. Systems are working in silos. You have registration unit having one system, you have PV having another system. There's also pre-existing IT infrastructure that increases a lot of the maintenance cost. But how do we ensure that as we move forward towards digital transformation, our systems are working to a standard that we can be able to maintain and improve continuously?
I just want to add to the systems working in silos. I think it's also a big Africa problem that we kind of work in silos, and that might be one of the pitfalls we see when we want to do harmonization and reliance, because we want to kind of do our own thing instead of this work-sharing, reliance, working together situation, right? So it's something we need to be very, very aware of that's happening. And also pre-existing IT infrastructure, just from experience, moving from one system to another, and the other data was not clean, clear, and as beautiful as it should be, it takes months to clean up that data.
Now, I would like to share with you. So I am currently conducting an MBA study whereby I decided to look at some critical indicators that are relevant to health information management system, especially for regulators. So I took already existing digital maturity models and compared it and came up with a model of which we can assess our digital maturity of our systems. So as much as we have existing RIMs, how do we look at the efficiency, effectiveness? So I came up with indicators for ongoing assessment tools. And in the next screen, I'll be presenting the 7 indicators that I think are critical to ensuring that our regulatory information management systems are mature to a certain level.
First of all, IT capability. What does your service look like? Are you cloud-based? How secure is that? How is your environment set up? So that is a very key component of implementing a RIM solution.
Secondly, interoperability. We spoke about systems working in silos. And interoperability is very key in showing that our systems are talking to each other. Can you integrate your data within the systems in your organization as a regulator?
So the one thing, a big experience moment is people skills behavior and end user-centered focus. People are the users of your RIM solution. How do they adopt it? Are they using it correctly? How is the training looking? What is the experience from the solution? Is it too difficult to use? And you get also the other side of that, if you know everybody has a cell phone, you're either somebody that goes and figures out how your cell phone works, or you're going to the shop assistant and say, please tell me how to do this and this and this, right? So you get these two types of people in any organization, and how to get all of them part of moving forward with this digital transformation.
And then we have strategy. A lot of the regulators have strategies that they will monitor. Within your strategy, it's found that it's quite imperative that you prioritize digital transformation for your digital solutions in your strategy. So this is one thing that regulators also have to add as an indicator and monitor that the strategy is not just something that is out there in public, it's not just something that is not measurable. So it has to be implemented. You need to be able to also measure those outcomes and have a metric-based system for your strategy.
And then we look at data analytics. What does my reporting look like? What does my dashboards look like? How do I communicate back and forth towards my exec CEO as well as to industry? How quick did I do marketing authorization and all of that?
Now, for my study, as I mentioned, I came up with a digital maturity model that different regulatory authorities can look at the different indicators or / dimensions and be able to ascertain a score and a level. The level is from level 0 until 5, and the score is based on percentages. From that, you can be able to actually have a digital maturity spider web that gives you analysis of where you are as a regulator. And you can actually put that into a performance report that you can be able to measure either monthly, yearly, quarterly, benchmark yourself with other regulators, benchmark yourself with other regions, and also on a continental level. So this is a proposal from actually my master's studies that I've taken on, and that I feel regulators should not only be looking at being WHO MO3, WHO MO4, but also as we embark on going to digital transformation, as you know, the whole world is moving there. we need to ensure that our systems are also well maintained. Our systems can speak for themselves. And this is not just something that is on paper, but we can see it with different metrics that are being, presented to us.
And so just to conclude, my friend AI actually wrote the final remarks for this presentation, and I'm going to read it to you because it's well written. Just as every drop of rain contributes to the river that nourishes the land, every byte of trusted data strengthens our regulatory systems. To reach the pot of gold, ML3, a mature, transparent, and efficient regulatory environment, Africa must invest in robust digital RIM solutions that uphold data integrity as their foundation. Ask the question, is my data ICH compliant? True maturity, ML3 and beyond, is not just about technology. It's about trust, collaboration, and resilience. The strength in every byte that turns the storm of transformation into a rainbow of opportunity for public health. Thank you, everyone. That is that.
Last but not least, we're coming to the last presentation, and you should have guessed that it should be from Egypt, since we're in Egypt. So please welcome with me Dr. Dalia Abu Hussein. She is the QA General Manager at EDA. Dr. Dalia has over 23 years of experience in the regulatory. At EDA, she has overseen the establishment of an integrated quality management system and successfully led the authority to achieve multiple certification in ISO, as well as the WHO Global Benchmarking Tool Maturity Level 3 for both medicines and vaccines. Please welcome her on stage.
Assalamu alaikum. Good afternoon, everyone. Really, first, I would like to thank the organizing committee for inviting EDA to talk about its journey to achieve maturity level 3 for the WHO. And it's really an honor for me to be with you today. So today we will talk about our journey. So first, I'd like to talk about the establishment of the EDA. So before, we can consider that August 2019 is a very important day in EDA. So before this date, there were 3 different institutions that regulates the medical products and medical devices in Egypt. By August 2019, the law number 151 was issued to establish the EDA. And you can see that from the dates that 2019 and 2020, where the executive regulation was issued, these dates are very, very critical dates. It was at that time the emerging of COVID disease, so the transition from 3 different institutions to one institution, only the Egyptian Drug Authority that regulates the medical products and medical devices in Egypt, was really a critical time. So after these dates, the Egyptian Drug Authority becomes an independent organization that reports directly to the Egyptian Prime Minister. From the first day of the establishment of EDA, EDA had a vision to be a world leading national regulatory authority. So we have several plans. One of them was to achieve maturity level 3 for WHO. To give you a background of our journey didn't start by the establishment of EDA, but it started previously. So in 2010, the WHO declared that the National Regulatory Authority at that time, which was CAPA and NORCB, that regulates vaccines in Egypt, were declared as functional regulatory authority. And at that time, the global benchmarking tool was not the same one that it's now. It was a previous version of this tool, which was only for vaccines products. So at that time, Egypt was declared to be the first country in the Middle East to reach this maturity level. It was not a maturity level. They said it was a functional NRA. So then in 2019, EDE was established, and we worked hard from day one, from the establishment, to reach the maturity level. First, we started with the vaccine because, of course, it was very important to the country at that time to reach this maturity level because of the COVID vaccine in the maturity level 3 for the vaccine scope. Then we extended our scope in 2024 for also the medicine scope. And of course, all of you know how big is the medicine scope in Egypt. So by reaching maturity level 3 for both medicine and vaccine, both locally manufactured and imported, Egypt became the first country in Africa to reach this maturity level. We will talk a bit about our journey. So, of course, any NRA, when starts the journey, they make a self-benchmarking. And the self-benchmarking was that at that time, by coincidence with the establishment of the EDA, and by law, the law number 151, it states that we should revise all our legal framework so that to ensure that it's now suitable after the merging of 3 different institutions that were regulating the medical products in Egypt before August 2019. So we revised all our legal framework. We also revised all our human resources documents, job descriptions. We established a competency framework to all our category levels of the staff. We have, before EDE also, we have 3 different quality management systems. We integrated the quality management system into one quality management system, and we renovated all the sites of EDA. We renovated all our laboratories to be a state-of-art laboratories with very well-equipped laboratories. And of course, we give also, we were keen to be to publish and to be transparent on all our guidelines and decisions. So what we gained from this journey, actually we benefited a lot because the global benchmarking tool, the WHO consider it as a building capacity for the NRA. So really we get a lot of benefits. The most important of them that we embedded all the principles of good regulatory practice in all our regulatory functions. We promoted and we used the risk-based approach in our regulatory functions. Examples, the reliance for pathway, for example. Also our inspections. We are making our GMP inspections and all our inspection using the risk-based approach, and several functions we also use the risk-based approach. We strengthened the quality cultures in our organization. We have a clear and standardized processes, so we enhanced the efficiency of our processes and enhanced also that transparency. And I think last month we have started the English version of our site, because before it was only Arabic. We now have an English version of our site. So the WHO is not only the only achievement we have, but we are working hard to achieve several other objectives also. We are ISO certified 9001. Our labs are accredited according to ISO 17025 for both testing and calibration. We are accredited according to ISO 17043 as a proficiency testing provider also for the labs. And we are 17034 as certified reference material producers. All of these are integrated in one quality management system. We have also succeeded to join the GEON network, the official medicine control laboratories, the European network, as associate member, because we are not a member state, so we are not a full member, we are associate member, and to be the second African lab to join this network after Morocco. So we are working hard on the accreditations and the achievements, but in parallel, we are keen, and EDA is keen for the international collaborations. We have signed several MOUs with several countries, and the most recent one was with South Korea, and this is very important because this is the first WLA NRA to have to sign with them an MOU, and also with Anvisa Brazil, which is a very competent national regulatory authority in Latin America. And in Africa, of course, we signed several bilateral MOUs, but the most important one is the regional one with the NRAs, or with the maturity level 3 maturity level. 8 up till now, they are 8 only the signed countries, and we are working now to publish how this network will work very soon. So all what we are doing, of course, will reflect on the reliance. So what we are doing, we are now following the international standards, because we are always talking about harmonization, and we could not reach harmonization if we are all not following the international standards. So in our guidelines, we are following the international standards. We are transparent, and we publish all what we are following as guidelines, and even our decisions on our website. And this can build the trust in our regulatory system, and this can help other NRAs to rely on our decisions. So in conclusion, EDA now is relying on stringent authorities. We have several MOUs and with the NRAs, and they are relying on our decisions. And now we are working on mutual reliance between the 8 maturity level 3 African NRAs, so that we can have a regional or a mutual reliance between the NRAs. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, so now you have seen that these 3 presentations have taken place. We will be having a panel discussion with our presenters. Along with our pleasant presenters, we will having also Ms. Folashadi Osho. She is from NAFDAC, the Assistant Director and Deputy Quality Manager. Ms. Folashadi also serves on the NAFDAC WHO Global Benchmarking team that led to Nigeria attaining the WHO GPT ML3. She also works on the technical working group of NAFDAC for the traceability office, supporting the execution of the 5-year roadmap for implementing pharmaceutical traceability in Nigeria. So we will be very efficient and direct to the point, asking the questions. Okay, the first question will go to Dr. Dalia from EDA. We would like to know what are your next priorities after achieving WHO maturity level 3? How do you plan to progress toward ML4? And what opportunities do you see for collaboration with well-established ML4 and WLA authorities?
Okay, thank you for the question. So really in EDA, we are very ambitious. So not only reaching maturity level 4 is our target. We are working in several other aspects. As you see that this year we joined the GEON, the European network, to be associate member with them. So maturity level 4 is one of course, our targets, but not the only one. We are also submitted our application in PICS to be a PICS member. We are seeking the pre-qualification of our control labs. And of course, we are looking forward at that to be a WLA country. So really, we are very ambitious, and we have several plans to reach this. And for the opportunity to have collaboration with other maturity level 4 and WLA, we started with signing the MOU with South Korea. And in the last ICIMRA meeting, our EDA chairman, Dr. Ali Ghamrawi, has made several meetings with the WLA NRAs, Swiss Medic, Singapore HSA, the Italian and the Spanish NRAs, and I think we are, our Foreign Affairs Department is working hard to have such collaborations. Also, we are having a project, a big project with the EU twinning, with one of the European Union, European NRA. So I think this will be will be declared very soon. So we are very ambitious, and we have a lot to do. Yes, thank you.
I would assume sixth season it will be full of updates as well.
Yes, hopefully. Yes, thank you.
Okay, the second question is for Dr. Diana from WHO. We would like to know from your experience, how can countries effectively leverage ML4 and WLA reference authorities to accelerate progress and sustain maturity?
Thank you, May, for that question. Something that I would like to highlight is the use of reliance and recognition mechanisms in the legal framework. So, as mentioned before, sometimes changing that legal framework, as the Egyptian regulatory authority show us was the first stage in their journey, may take several years. So from WHO, we are recommending, like, from those countries that have reached maturity level 4, or even better, those that have reached WLA, are included in your legal framework as those regulatory authorities that you can rely on. So you know that the concept of a stringent regulatory authority is now going replaced by the concept of WHO listed authority. So in order to probably also avoid the conflict that this regulatory authority was recognized today as maturity level 3 or 4, but maybe in 5 years it couldn't sustain that recognition. Having a general statement in the legal or regulatory framework that says that X regulatory authority rely or recognize the specific legal framework from this other WLA or maturity level 4 or maturity level 3 regulatory authorities will be the way to go.
Thank you. The second or the third question would be to Dr. Badran and Ms. Kane from South Africa. We would like to know, how has adoption of reliance contributed to your regulatory strengthening, and how has digitalization contributed to SAPRA's overall maturity journey?
Thank you for that question. So I think adoption of reliance has been a cornerstone in terms of SAPRA's transformation into being a mature, efficient, and globally aligned regulator. From backlog that was mentioned to agility, it's been quite pivotal in not only SAPRA establishing itself as a national leader, but also as a global regulatory authority and regionally. I mean, the principles of reliance are not only seen with the MOUs that are signed, but we also see them within our digital systems. So the example I'll give is with ECTD, as well as within our submission portals, whereby we can be able to access regulatory reports faster. There's improved data integrity, and there's also an acceleration in terms of the decision makings. An example will be with the recently news of the HIV injection that was approved by SAPRA. And so when you look at reliance and digitalization, there's an integration to enhance efficiency. So it's not just reliance on its own, but putting that into the system is how SAPRA was able to also maintain and sustain its maturity level.
I just want to contribute to that and just enhancing from her reliance. If we just look at the backlog, there was a huge drive. At that point, I was in industry and I had to submit these reliant ECDDs to the SAPRA authority. And these ECDD submissions, there was one specific month they did a pilot on, what was it? It was a verified review. And within a month, they actually approved some of these applications. It was new applications completely from scratch. And that was because it was already in a compliant digital format, and the reliance was quicker because it relied on the EMAS. Most of them were EMAS submissions, as well as US FDA submissions. And that digital transformation contributed to the success of the backlog project.
Thank you, Dr. Matan and Kari. Okay, the last question goes to Ms. Fareshedi Osho from Nigeria. So we'd like to know, based on your experience, what tangible benefits have you observed since achieving maturity level 3, particularly in terms of efficiency and reliance opportunities?
Thank you very much, May, for the question. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for the opportunity to speak on this panel, and a wonderful presentation to all the presenters. They've laid a solid foundation for some of the responses I'll be giving. So the first comment I'll be making will be, attaining ML3, yes, it's a formal recognition, but beyond attaining ML3, the process of attaining ML3 produced a lot of benefits, which in the previous presentation have already been mentioned. So before even attaining ML3, we've had a lot of benefits. And one of the first most significant benefits was in the application of the risk-based approach. In 2019, at our first formal benchmarking, one of the outcomes of the assessment was, and it was mentioned earlier, you're spending a lot of resources in in-country QC testing for marketing authorization. It was almost 80%, 20% for post-market surveillance. And it's self-evident now that more resources should be channeled towards PMS, which is the products that get to the patient. But as at that time, before GBT, it wasn't as clear as that. So that was one of the first benefits we had. So there was a shift from focusing on the gold standard products submitted during the marketing authorization to the products that actually get to the consumers, that the patients actually have access to. And that's the resources, we're expending a lot of resources. Now those resources were better used to targeted QC testing for PMS. And that was also applied to other regulatory functions. There was risk categorization for our inspections. A lot of the facilities that you know that are in then SRA countries were recategorized, their risk profiling was carried out, and also for our sampling of products for lab analysis and other regulatory functions. That was one of the first benefits. Then the second benefit, which we'll be mentioning consistently since the beginning of this workshop, reliance. Reliance is like a tool which we use to achieve risk-based categorization. And since NAFDAC achieved maturity level 3, we've gone into partnerships like most of the NRAs. We've had with EDA, SAPRA. We've also had with South Korea. And a lot of the implementation, the how, and the impact of most of these partnerships are beginning to gain ground. There's a lot of conversations on how we're going to implement work sharing, joint assessment. But there's an area of reliance which we have not acknowledged as much, and we should give due recognition, which is in capacity building. Since attaining maturity level 3, a lot of countries on the region have come to the agency to understudy the agency based on some areas where they need support for. Some were in track and trace, some in national quality control testing, some were in quality management system implementation. And that's an area of reliance that we are not magnifying as much. Countries have been having capacity building opportunities, not just for the countries that are ML3, but also other countries that are aspiring to ML3. And the last one, just because of our time, is digitization. Digitization is both a tool and an outcome, of the benefits of attaining ML3. A lot of our processes, dossier management system, the clinical trials were digitized, and some of the existing platforms for products registration, for port clearance were upgraded to be able to align with GBT requirements and to also ensure transparency, proper process monitoring, and also for us to meet our timelines. And so it has really been a huge benefit. And maybe the last two ones I'll just touch on. Since implementing ML3, that supported the agency to attain WHO qualification for 2 manufacturers for some essential commodities, for essential medicines, and also WHO qualification for the National Control Laboratory. And without ML3, those achievements might have been taking a longer time to realize. Thank you.
Thank you. It was a pleasure to moderate this session with you. It was full of information and full of life, I must say. Thank you for your contribution, and I really appreciate it. Thank you.